Hi, I'm Drew. Welcome to the Beggars Woodshop. I've always wanted to upgrade the tables on my Mark V, and today I'm going to do it. In this next part of our series, I'm going to show you how to align those tables as well as swap out the headstock. Table saws, right here, in the Beggars Woodshop. Come on inside.
This program has been made possible by contributions from our viewers. Thank you.
Well, the Mark IV is put together. It's got the old table saw system that came with the original Greenie, and that's good temporarily. Now, if you saw my last video, I put the Greenie headstock instead of the newer one because I wanted to have a little more power for today's video, where we upgrade the table saw system. Now, I'm very happy to have a 520 table saw system, so I'm very pleased that everything's going to be all upgraded. Why don't we get started, and I'll show you the process of swapping the headstocks, so you'll get a little rewind in our clock, as well as the cleaning. Maybe not too heavy in cleaning, we'll just take a look at how bad the sawdust buildup is. Are you ready? Okay, let's get started. First, we're going to move our headstock to about halfway down. Next, I'm going to take a board long enough and thick enough and slide it underneath the table. Then I'm going to elevate the entire upper section using that board and the table. This is so it makes it a whole lot easier to remove the headstock. Sometimes it could fight you a little bit. If you've partially drilled a hole about the same size as the legs of the table, it will also sink in and hold its position a little easier. Now, with that being done, I can remove the tie bar. 5/32 Allen wrench. What else? I'm using a mallet to remove it, since it is stuck on there pretty good. However, if you don't have a mallet, you can use a hammer, but make sure you put a piece of wood in between. That way you don't damage anything. Took me a little bit to get it off since it was not wanting to come off uneven. Whoops! Now I can slide the headstock off. Should have elevated it a little bit more, but it's there. Make sure that you've loosened your locking mechanism all the way, otherwise it's not going to line up later. And we need these things to line up. After removing the wood, I can remove the table and the carriage. They do need to be waxed, but I'll take care of that later. It doesn't hurt to do a little waxing at this point, since everything is off. So let's make it nice and smooth for operation. Don't just do the way tubes. Get the bench tubes as well. I need to clean the tables and their legs with mineral spirits. This thing really needed a deep clean. This is the issue with getting secondhand. You gotta work with the condition they're in. And I'm not just cleaning the tops of each table, I'm cleaning also the tubes and the main supports. It's seriously bad. Ugh, that's dirty. Yuck. Now with all of that done, time for a waxing. Again, don't just do the tabletops. Do the supports as well. And this is after I cleaned them out inside and out too. Now let's put on the carriage. Remember, the wheel with the crank faces towards you if it is to the right of the headstock. I had to go back in and reapply it. The locks, or should I say, the pieces for the locking mechanism were not properly attached. Now look how smooth that goes. Now with the carriage put on, I put the table on, and forget to myself, this is a bit wider table, so I had to move the machine for a little bit. Wider table. Time to repeat the process that I did before, only this time in reverse. Cross your fingers. Here we go. Oh, and don't forget the little rubber piece that acts as a spacer. Otherwise you're in deep trouble. Look how smooth that slides on. Now for the tie bar. Hopefully we're going to get it perfect. That's why we always check these things before we lock it off. Make sure it all fits. Okay. Lock it off. Remove the wood, lock it down, and make sure everything moves nice and smooth, which I am quite confident now it does. Okay. How bad's the interior with dust? Oh, wow. Oh, jeez, this has not been cleaned in a long time. Okay. I did my main cleaning, getting all the dust out, you know, and I figured gotta do some oiling because who knows when the last time this thing was oiled. Adjusted some tension because this thing seemed pretty loose. Does explain a few other things. Overall, I still got a little bit of cleaning to do externally, but in the meantime, let's get the main table set up today and then we'll come back tomorrow, set up the rest. So the first thing I want to do with the tables is actually set our guard. Excuse me, our miter gauge. I want to get that nice and square. Take my straight edge up against. Make sure everything is lined up perfectly. Whenever I tighten, it seems to want to go out of being 90. Why, I have no idea. Okay. There we go. That ought to do it. Hopefully I'm not missing a washer or anything. Now, we're going to take our Allen wrench here, slide it into the side. Let's move this off to the side just a wee bit more. If necessary, move the quill. The goal today is going to be to spin our disc and find the high point. We'll know the high point because it will stop rubbing against our miter gauge. I'll just lock it down, move everything in place. Well, I think I found my high spot. Oh, I better get a piece of chalk. Don't go anywhere. Now I'll let you in on a little secret. Fortunately, I could just barely see a line right across the sanding disc, as well as an X. I'm going to go on the other side of that X, make my own X. That's going to represent the high point of everything. Now, take my straight edge. I'm going to go across that same line if I can with my piece of chalk. Veering off a little there. That's going to be an important line. Now, let's really check to see how level we are. There's our high spot. Ooh, I moved it. High spot. Oh, that's not good. Sounds like our tables might need to be adjusted. Ever so slightly. Let's try this again. Really? Looks like we're gonna have to adjust the main table. I'm not looking forward to that. Okay, there are two ways in which you can align your tables. First was the way I was doing it, where I get out the sanding disc, line everything up, yada yada yada. The other way is using your saw blade. Now I got out my square, put it up against the channel for the miter gauge, make sure it was tight against everything. Locked it down. Just ran it back and forth against both sides, and it's squared. So, could be my miter square is a little off. I'll have to go in and really do some fine tuning. Now, with that being said, let's figure out the rest from here. So the first thing I've got to figure out is, am I level up and down, since I went in side to side to the blade? Well, let's test this out. We are not squared. If you have a look real close, you can see there's a line. If you need extra help to see if there's a gap, get a flashlight. And I can see massive gap. So we lower. Or should I say loosen, until it's nice and tight. Just don't lose your flashlight in the process. And that should be... Went a little ass square on me. This can be difficult because these 520 and 510 tables are a little heavy to this side. Alright. That's got it. That is perfect. I've got that. I want to return that to 90 every time, but also there's something else I want to show you. Come here underneath. Right here, I got my numbers, and I can see that that is slightly off. So I'm going to make that nice and perfect every single time. Okay, this little piece I'm pushing in is the stop for 90 degrees. There's also a little spot right there where I have to adjust to make sure that thing will stop perfect every time. Let's get out the wrench and make sure it lines up perfect every single time. It is going to take a little bit to get it right, but when it's done, will be a perfect 90. Every time. Well, let's back it off a little. There we go. Perfect. I'm now checking 45 degrees. And this is going to take a little adjustment. Looks like I need to adjust. Here, let me show you where to adjust. Right here is the spot on the right side of the trunnion. There's one on the left, one on the right. These have to be adjusted in order to get 45 perfect. You get one, it's easy to get the other. There we go. That should be about done. Yep. Now we transition to the drill press position. Sped up so we can get there a little quicker. We want to check 90 degrees, you know. Alright, I've got the drill chuck in as well as the drill bit. Let's see how close we are. And I think we are slightly off. Yep. We gotta make an adjustment. So, how do we make the adjustment so that we are 90 degrees? Well, let me triple check my measurements in the back, make sure I'm right. Gotta know which way to go, you know. Okay, I'm here on the opposite side from the 45, and here are the two places you adjust for 90 degrees. Pretty simple. Okay, are we there? Let's see. According to both sides. Cross your fingers, but it looks like we're there. Well, folks, this video is turning out to be exceedingly long. In fact, I've had to divide this up into 2 separate videos. You are watching the end of part 1. We're going to move on to part 2. If you're waiting for that video, that'll come out next week, a week from this one. And if you've already seen it, hopefully you can just click off to the next one. Next time, we're going to conclude everything by aligning all the tables, make sure we're ready to make a cut, and then, well, we'll make a cut. And that's next time, right here, on the Beggars Woodshop.